Good afternoon, Laura. Welcome to the Born or Made podcast.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you here today. So we like to start off things kind of simple. So where were you born at?
So I was born and grew up in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, okay. Yeah. How long were you up there?
Until I went to college, so 18
years. So you were
years.
born and raised in Rhode Island.
Yep.
So tell me about your childhood. So you were you like a super academic kid starting in first grade and going up, or were you athletic, or kind of what was your thing?
That's a great question. Not really either of those things. So I was a swimmer, so I swam, very independent sport, kind of, I think that was definitely part of it. But yeah, I grew up in a small town, biggest town in Rhode Island, but small town when you go anywhere else, you don't really realize that it's a small town until you leave. So I feel like I learned more when I left than I did when I was there, for sure. But yeah, small town, very normal family.
Well, I love swimming because I have a one grandson that loves to swim, swims in all. Matter of fact, he has finals or whatever this Saturday. So tell me about swimming. So which was your favorite stroke? Don't say freestyle.
So I did the 500, the endurance queen over here.
My grandson is a big endurance guy.
Yeah.
He loves that. So he is finally so he's 13, super skinny, tall, got arms, super long. And he finally came out of the water this year with the butterfly. It's
a great one.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate. I love them all, but I like the endurance.
He's doing the IM too, but he definitely is gearing. So right now he's 13. So I think the longest they do is 200.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then I think once he gets into high school.
Yeah.
And he goes to a very small school. So, but yeah, he's the only kid so far, but we got a couple that I think are going to have some interest in it. So, you did that all through did you start swimming in junior high is what we called it?
It's actually interesting. So I started swimming when I was in the second or third grade because I had scoliosis.
Okay.
And they were like, it really helps with the curve in the spine. So that was why I started it. And then I did tap and ballet dance. And so I just really enjoyed swimming. Then when I got into middle school and high school, our town didn't have a swim team. So I swam at the local YMCA. And I actually made some of my best friends doing that, growing up, which was really nice. And then I actually my first job was I was a lifeguard and I taught swim lessons. So
at the Y?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I still to this day think it's one of the best jobs. And now my 17-year-old nephew is teaching swim lessons at Lifetime Fitness out in Minnesota, and he's a lifeguard, and it's so precious to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's so great.
my grandson wants to be a lifeguard.
Yeah,
and he swims at the Y.
Yeah,
because we live in Virginia, but you still, you can't swim in the winter, so he does. Mm-hmm. And this year he's going to do all year round swim, so that'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I was really good at it, and I enjoyed it. It's when you're good at something, you kind of like it more, I think.
Yeah.
So
because it comes easy.
Yeah.
So you never were a runner or anything like that?
No, never was a runner.
Yeah.
I did dance, but I didn't love it. It was a forced activity that my parents made me do. My sister did it, so I think when you have a little girl, you want to put them in a tutu.
Yeah. I've got 6 granddaughters, and I've seen every one of them in a tutu.
Yeah,
it's at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
I have the 2 littlest ones right now. Sometimes they come in and they have them both on. I'm like, so really that doesn't match that with your jeans, but they've got a tutu on top of that.
Yeah. The costumes are fun. I just never. It's funny. I never liked the attention of having to go on stage and perform.
So were you kind of shy? Because swimming is an individual sport, but it's kind of a team sport because you're with these people for so much time swimming.
Yeah. I'm definitely introverted, but not shy, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't seem like an introvert, but but you've got a lot more skill now. You've been doing it a little bit longer.
Yeah. That's true. I feel but if you put me next to an extroverted person, you can see that I'm introverted, if that makes sense.
You're okay with
I'm
them
not
dominant.
I'll sit and wait my turn kind of thing. I'm not, especially in a large group. I'm much actually more comfortable one-on-one small group than a large group, which is maybe why I didn't like the dance thing, because it was 20 people all performing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you go through high school, you kind of get through all that, and then so you're going to go off to college.
Yep.
And you said you were in Rhode Island, and then where did you go to college?
I went to school at the University of Tampa in Florida.
Okay, down in Florida. All right. And you didn't swim?
Actually did
get
accepted into their swimming program. Wow. I did it for like 3 weeks, but I'm not a morning person, and practice was at like 5:30 a.m.
Really?
And I was like, this isn't going to work for me. And so I actually just like joined like the club team and like didn't do the competitive swim thing in college. And I feel like looking back, I'm like, oh, I probably should have done it. But I joined a sorority that I eventually, became very involved in a leadership on, and that was definitely more my track. Like I was meant for that. So.
And so, what are we going to college for at that point?
So at that point, I was going to college for education.
Teacher.
Yep, I wanted to be a teacher. My parents had very much instilled in me, like you get a career like that, you have a pension, you have benefits.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a family, you'll have summer off. Like they were very much instilling that stability on me. And so that's what I initially went to school for. And then I remember I changed my major after I talked to other people and were like learning different things you could do. And I never said anything to my parents about it. I just changed it and started taking different classes.
Really?
And then when, your grades get like mailed home back then. So like they got mailed home and my mother was like, what the heck is this? Can I not swear? Do you need me to
You can say whatever you want.
She was like, what are you doing? And I was like, this is just definitely more my path. Like, I feel like I was very confident about it, comfortable. I switched to advertising PR. And I loved it. Like, I actually loved the classes. I loved what I was learning. And they were so mad and like were trying to convince me otherwise. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a school teacher. I was like, that sounds
You're running
awful.
Your life. Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds awful. The salary is capped. What are the odds I'm going to like become a principal and like actually enjoy that job? Like the more I started thinking about it, I was like, nope, not for me.
So from the time you were young, you had been always kind of told, hey, do this.
It was like that or nursing. Like my mom was a nurse, so it was very much like that's a great profession to go into. Mm-hmm. But growing up, my grandmother lived with us my whole entire life. She actually died when I was 17 before I went to college. And we had to take care of her. And I was like, I don't want to be a nurse. Like I respect the field and think it's amazing. And like we are so lucky to have people who want to do that. But no, not for me. I spent my whole life wiping crap and not, I didn't want to do that for a career. I was like, I did that already. I'm not doing that either. So both very like stable things that they were trying to guide me into.
Was your dad in a stable career as well?
No, my dad was a maintenance mechanic. Yeah, so it was stable. Like he definitely had, he worked for Frito-Lay, which was a division of Pepsi. So he definitely had a stable job, but it was low pay and like hard hours. I think that was like a really difficult thing and I never knew that growing up. Like I remember at one point, I actually wrote about this in my book, like I knew what he got paid for like an hourly rate as like a 16, 17-year-old. And now I hire people and I get a little salty when I have to pay them more than I know that my father is making. But then I'm like, okay, inflation, different time, different life, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, I do think about it in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I'm paying you more to sit at my front desk than my father made to pay our mortgage growing up.
Well, I will tell you this, then your parents did a really good job.
Thank you.
Because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to know any of that stuff. You're not supposed to know if they didn't have the money to almost not feed you or buy you that pair of, swimsuit that cost $100 that you can go get one at Walmart for $12, but you need to be
in that one
that's faster and has the right brand. So they did a great job with that.
I'm very lucky. They were very good to me.
So you're getting into college. You're going to be a teacher. Now I'm going to PR. Public relations, you said in advertiser or marketing, same?
Advertising, public relations. Okay. It was one like kind of combined.
Okay. And so did you finish out with that?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So you got your 4-year degree.
Yep.
You're in Tampa. Are you leaving Tampa? Are you going to stay down there for a while? What are you going to do at that point?
So I stayed there for several more years, actually. I had my first career down there, and then I went back to grad school for a program.
So that was 2000?
That was 2008, 2009. Yeah.
Perfect timing. Yeah. Economy collapses. Yeah.
And I didn't. And that was actually the interesting thing. I remember calling my dad my senior year of college when the economy was collapsing, and I was like, all of my friends are telling me like their parents are getting this or this is happening. And I had met a lot of people in Florida actually from the Fairfield County, like New York area. And so it was very different growing up in like a small rural town versus like a finance center. You know what I mean? And so I asked them, I remember calling my dad and saying, are you okay? Like, do I need to worry about anything? Can I help? Like, what do I need to do? And he was like, no, like, you don't have to worry about it. Like, we're not in those type of jobs, you know? And like, I never really was exposed to those type of jobs because they didn't exist in our area. Like, it was very, like, people were teachers and worked locally.
Yeah,
and,
you were in the Northeast. So it was a much different.
Very
you were
different.
much
like
farther.
Milltown, like a small little mill town.
So in 2008, we take for granted that the internet was a big deal. Wasn't really yet.
Yeah.
You were kind of just starting to text a little bit more and more.
Totally. Yeah, you had to like push the 5 3 times to get your letter.
Thank God they finally got those keyboards because I was terrible at that. Yeah. So so how do you? So it's interesting you bring that up. So now you have access to information like you never had 15 years ago. Did that make you suddenly want to start paying attention to things like that? Because you're saying you kind of were hearing from your friends, where now, if that happened, you would already know about it because you have instantaneous access.
Yeah, I think it gave me a much more sheltered childhood because I didn't know certain things. So then I would ask a lot more questions. Like, you know, I made friends and some people had yachts, like kids, like 20-year-olds, like had yachts. And I would be like, so what
do your parents had yachts?
No, they bought them for their kids. Like they had their own. And I remember saying like, well, what do your parents do that they could buy you a yacht and a matching Porsche with your sister? Like, I'm confused. Like, what kind of job does that?
That
like,
sounds familiar. That happened to me when I moved from a small town with 2 pairs of jeans, 1 pair of shoes, and I moved to a big town, moved to Austin, Texas.
Okay.
40-something years ago, and there were kids driving Corvettes.
Yeah. I didn't really know what a luxury car was.
If somebody if they had a pickup truck that wasn't 20 years old, we're like, you got such a nice truck, you know. And they bought some rims or something, you know, or whatever.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what people did. They like decked out their Toyotas.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would just I just started asking questions. You know, I was like, what do your parents do that you have that, or how could they buy that for you? Like, I didn't really understand how those things happened. You were like me.
You had no concept of real money.
Correct.
Like real money.
Yeah, like in my mind, we did great, but I didn't know what great was. Right. You know, like, and that's saying we did do great, but it was like learning what could be even better than that. I think
that was mine. Is we always laughed about now is that we're always like, we didn't know we were poor because all of my friends were poor. So we never thought anything about it. You know, like I remember the Webbs. He was the big farmer in town. He lived in a pretty big house.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know they had money.
Yeah.
I thought they must do something because they had a lot of kids. And I was always like, how do they feed all these kids?
Yeah. But you can do it. I think it's just you have to figure out what your priorities are and what you want. And that's an interesting kind of segue because it's like when you are exposed to more, you want more. And I think that's, part of the American dream is that you can work as hard as you want to get what you want. You just have to figure out how to do that. So back to your question about having resources, being able to figure things out, I think that definitely probably played a part because I changed my major. I was like, no, I'm going to do one of these things that actually generates.
So is that when you first, the first time I thought about money, I was about 15 years old. And I don't know what caused me to do it. I'm still searching for that right now. So let's say at this point you're 19, 20. Did you suddenly start going, I want that? Or were you just still kind of like query about it, like you were like interested?
Well, I always liked nice things.
Okay.
And so I remember like I would always want to go shopping. I loved clothes. Like I loved handbags, like what I thought were nice. And then like obviously you get exposed to more and you're like, oh, that's even nicer, you know? But so I remember my parents were like, okay, this is what you get. But if you want more, like you can buy it yourself with your own money. And so I got my first job at 15 teaching swim lessons. And I really started understanding like how to balance a checkbook, how to, make more money. And I became a workaholic fast. Like I was like, oh, the more I work, the more money I can make. The more, I kind of figured that out.
You could buy your own things. You didn't have to wait for your parents to tell you.
I didn't have to like get approval, right? Like my mom hated jeans. Like I was not allowed to wear jeans. And she was just like, she just did not like them. And so I was like, well, I want the ripped jeans, and like,
I want to pay for the torn up jeans.
So like I bought the torn up jeans. Like that at the time was a big deal. And so it was definitely, yeah.
So you said you did swim lessons, right? And so, it's funny. So I was the same way. I started working when I was 11 years old. And I can remember getting my first paycheck because I remember I wanted a pair of boots. And my dad, and we did not have a lot of money at all. And my dad, I said, Dad, I want those boots. And he goes, well, you need to get a job.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't like, well, we'll save up and get it. It's like, well, you need to get a job. He was telling me that at 11 years old.
If you want it, that's on you.
That's on
and
you.
I think that's fine. I'm happy about it. Worked out.
So did you do swim lessons all through high school?
I did. I taught swim lessons and I was a lifeguard throughout high school.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about the lifeguard.
Yeah.
But swim lessons is almost a little entrepreneurial going there.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that at the time, but it was great. And then it was funny because I was like, I'm going to run the whole swim program. And I was like 17.
Yeah.
No,
Ambition.
but I did actually.
Yeah,
they let me do it. And I was just like, okay. And I was one of their younger people, but I think I just had like high energy and I was willing to do the work and I had nothing else to do.
Yeah, you were motivated.
Yeah, I was super motivated.
Have you ever read the stats on kids that swim?
I haven't, but
You should read about that. It's shocking. Kids that swim are like, there's something about that discipline that puts them at this different plane, and the percentages that go to college, that finish college.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, so the town I grew up in, I don't have a lot of friends remaining from my hometown, but I'm still friends with the people I swam with. And I feel like I just got along better with my swimming friends. Like they actually had goals and like similar values and they were more motivated. I just really always clicked with them more than the people I went to school with.
It's a proven statistic.
That's interesting. My husband and I talk about that too because he also swam. And we're
really?
like, when we have kids, like they're an activity they will be participating in. So it's a mental thing.
I didn't learn to really swim good until I guess I was 50.
Yeah.
I was training for a triathlon, and I realized, and I was a fairly good runner, above average runner, and I could run forever. I got in a pool. I'll never forget. I'm at the Y, and there's this lady. She's like my age now, right? She looked like she was 100 years old, and she's swimming, and she's just cruising. She's about halfway down there. I'm like, all right, I'll catch her. I got down that thing and got to the other end, and she was already back the other end, and I was about to drown.
That's crazy.
And I realized that I didn't know how to swim.
Oh my gosh, what'd you do?
I was 25 yards. Well, I didn't know how to swim. So I realized, you already know all this. I was swimming through the water like this.
Okay. You're like hydroplaning or whatever.
Yeah, what do they call it? So you're just, you're plowing through the water. And then I watched this woman. So I got lessons. And then I learned how to swim. Now I can swim.
Yeah.
But it's freaking hard. You get me out. I could go out right now and run 5 miles.
Yeah.
You put me in a pool right now, I could be lucky if I could swim 50 yards.
That's so funny.
Because I don't know how to breathe. And breathing
is a huge part of it. Yeah.
And I watch my grandkids do it. And I'm like, man, they just
do backstroke.
Yeah.
And breathe.
Yeah. But then it gets in my nose or something like that. And then I'm gagging. And I'm always afraid I'm going to be on the deep side of the pool and drown.
Well, that's a stroke thing. If it shouldn't be getting in your face.
You can tell. Like I said, I'm a pretty good runner. I'm not a good swimmer.
That's funny. I was always like a fish. Like I never wanted to get out of the pool, even when I was little. Like I see my nieces and nephews now, like not wanting to get out of the pool, and I'm like, it's fine. I'll sit with them. They can stay in the stairs.
I got a video just a few minutes ago with my 2 granddaughters, and they've got the little floaties. One's 5, and she was doing forward flips off, rolling out off the side in, and she's just becoming a fish. I mean, and it's amazing from the beginning of the summer to halfway through how much they've improved.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, their confidence just goes through the roof.
I wonder if it's like bath people, too. Like, I'm a big bath person, so I wonder if, like, you just like being in the water.
Yeah, I don't know. I know, like, I mean, I can see they are fish.
Yeah.
My 13-year-old grandson is a fish.
Well, that was like I was playing tennis a couple of weeks ago, and it was so hot. It was like 96, and I felt like I was in a sauna, and I was like, I just want to go jump in a pool. Like, that's all I wanted to do afterwards. I had, like, the urge. I think you just get the itch to do those things.
Yeah, and you're still a good swimmer, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love it.
So we were talking, and then so you're getting out of college. The economy's tanking. So what are you going to do for a job now? You're getting out of there.
So I always babysat throughout college. So I had like a handful of families that I babysat for. And this one family was like, we have this, like one of their friends owned a company, and he had owned and sold a lot of companies, and they were like, he's really looking for a good like business manager / personal assistant. And I was like, okay, I'd be interested in meeting with him, but I will only do it for 1 year because I am going to grad school in the fall. So I had really wanted to go to grad school the year prior, but I didn't get accepted into any of the programs that I was applying to. So the program that I went into was College Student Affairs, which I can talk about in a little bit. But basically, you had to get like a job at the university and get into the program academically. So I would either get the position and then not get in academically, or I would get in academically and I wouldn't find a match with the position. So you're basically having to get in twice. And I had applied to like, so you have to get approved by both programs. And so I had gotten like accepted into some schools but didn't have a match. And then, so it was a whole thing. And so I didn't get into any programs. I was devastated, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get in next year. Like, it is what it is. And so then the following year, I ended up getting into a great program, but it was interesting. So the reason I kept not getting in was because my GRE scores were too low. And so I called the program directly in the fall, like once it started, to be like, I continue to take this program. I'm qualified. You know, I have the personality for this. I can do this job. I cannot seem to get this score up because math was not my strong suit. So like if you looked at like the language piece, like the writing, like that side of it, I was nailing it, and then the math was dragging me down. And I was like, there are no math classes in this program. So tell me why I need to get this up. You know, I was like, what can I do? And she was like, go take there was like another test you could take. I can't remember what it was called anymore. It was like the ACE test or something, but another grad test. Like they had the GMAT, the GRE, and then there was another one. She was like, go take this test. If you score over X, I'll let you into the program. I was like, okay.
Really?
And so I went and took that test, got the score I needed, and then reapplied. And then she actually was like, I know you want to have one of these other I can't remember what they're called anymore. Oh, graduate assistantships. She's like, I know you want one that's like with students and all these things, but I want you to be my personal person who helps me run the program because I also need a graduate assistant. So not only did I get into the program, but then I was the one running the program.
You know why you got that?
Because I went to her and she was like, you're it, you know?
That's right, yeah.
But to circle back to the program, and then I can also circle back to that job because it's funny now. I feel like that job is more related. So there's a whole circle there, sequence.
Let's do it.
So I went to school for college student affairs, which is everything on the college campus outside of the classroom. So all of your extracurricular activities, Greek life, residence life, all of those things most of the people who are running those things on a college campus have a specialized master's program like for that to kind of. And which is funny because it does relate back to teaching. So my master's is actually in education. So like long story short, it does come full circle back around. But those are very transitional skills into the business from like if I could manage 25 college students, like I could manage a team of people in a business capacity. So that was a very interesting transition.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And then my job with that businessman that I worked for in between undergrad and grad school, was a great experience. I learned so much. He had bought a company out of bankruptcy, relocated it from Florida to California. I went to trade shows with him. I learned like all this stuff. I spent the summer in California before I started grad school, moving the company over there. I learned so much about starting a business because I was doing all the paperwork and the filings and reading everything and doing everything that he needed me to do. And then he was trying to convince me not to go to grad school and continue to run the company and was giving me like very lucrative offers to stay. And I was like, no, I told you, and I'm committed to this program. Like I signed it. I have a job. Like it's starting in 2 weeks. Like I'm not staying here. And when I look back on my experiences as a business owner, a lot of the things that I knew what to do from starting was from that job. So it was a very lucky kind of
I don't know if it was lucky. You got clearly some strong discipline skills in the fact that you said, I'm getting around this barrier and got that, and then end up getting a better job with the administration of your school, you probably already had it. That's hearing your story. Well, I would say 100%, because you're like, I have a barrier, but I'm going to get around that barrier. I'm going to go through it, around it, under it, over it, whatever I got to do. Same thing with this guy, this business guy, is you were going to do that, but you're like, no. I have a target. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if he had offered you $500,000 a year, I'd look back and tell you now you were probably crazy not taking it. But you already had it.
Yeah.
I mean, you were doing it. So
mindset, I guess.
I mean, I think it may go back to swimming discipline. Building the mental capacity of being able to do that. So you get through college, you get all that done, and then where are you going now? So you've got your master's degree.
Okay, so I have my master's degree, and let's see what happened after that. I feel like it was so long ago. Okay.
It wasn't.
It was like 16, 17 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I've got grandchildren older than that.
Okay. So now I remember. So next thing that happened. So I graduate grad school and
Still in Florida.
I'm still in Florida. I'm still in Tampa. So I'm living in Tampa, have all my friends there, loving it. And I had a serious relationship at the time that we broke up and I was devastated.
Yep, of course.
Because I'm graduating grad school. I'm like 24. I'm like, this is the person I'm going to marry, like the whole thing. And then I find Pure Barre and I absolutely love it. I actually had a couple job offers at like different schools.
Tell us what Pure Barre is.
So Pure Barre is Pure Barre. It is a fitness franchise, which I own 3 of now.
Okay.
And so I started taking this Pure Barre class because my gym had closed. So my boyfriend breaks up with me and my gym closes and I'm devastated.
And
this
I'm like, is kind of 10-ish? 2009,
this
2010?
Is 2011.
11,
yeah.
Okay, yep, all right.
And so I'm so sad. I'm like, I can't go to my step class. Like, what am I, I was just like, well, and I think it's funny what you think is important at 20 versus 30 versus, 40. Like, it's like your priorities definitely
100%.
change. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to find a new workout. And someone was like, I think you'll really like that new place, Pure Barre, that opened down the street. And I was like, probably not, but I'll try it. So I went. And they were like, you can't wear shorts. And I was in Florida. So of course, like I showed up in shorts, so I like buy leggings and I'm like, okay.
You had to buy the leggings before they let you work out.
Yeah.
And they just happened to have them for sale.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I was like, so I buy the leggings and I take class and I like didn't really like it that much, but I paid for like a month special. So I went every day for 30 days. And I was always a workoutaholic. Like I swam, I did all these different classes. Like
discipline.
I loved working
I'm just
out.
Keep saying that you have discipline.
So I loved working out. And so I saw these incredible changes in my body from the workout. And I was like, oh, I love this. Like I didn't actually love it, but I loved the results.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like I'm into this. And then I was like, I really just started like thinking about like, what am I going to do with my life? And then I was like, I think that girl owns this. Like, I didn't really understand what franchising was. Like, I had no idea. And so I was just like, I asked her one day, I was like, hey, like, can I ask you some questions? And so I guess how that happened too was I was selling Stella & Dot jewelry, which is an MLM. I started doing that the last semester I was in grad school and I was having fun with it and having some success. But it was, again, like nice things. How do I get more of them? Oh, if you sell it, you can like get more of them. So I was like, great. So I was selling Stella & Dot. The owner was at one of the Stella & Dot meetings. She sold Stella & Dot as well. So her and I like were talking at one of the meetings and I was like, can you tell me more about this? Like, did you like open this business or whatever? And at first she was like kind of territorial, right? Because obviously she doesn't want me to open like 3 miles away from her.
But
and I was like,
franchise, they blocked
and
that.
so I was like, well, no, I wouldn't open near you. I would like move somewhere. And she was like, oh, so then she felt like more comfortable with me and was like telling me like how it worked. And I was like, interesting. And then I was like, I think I could do this. So I went online and I went on the website and I applied and I downloaded the documents, like the FDD. Like I had to sign off on stuff. I show up to the interview.
You're still down there doing it?
Yeah, I'm still in Florida. Okay. I'm in Florida.
Because did it start there? Is that where the franchise started?
No, it started in Michigan, but our corporate office was at the time in Colorado.
Okay.
So I flew to Colorado, called someone I went to grad school with that was working at a college out there. I was like, hey, can I crash on your couch for 2 days? Because I was not paying for a hotel. Like I had no money to be wasting on this, right? The fact that I was like buying a flight, people were like, what are you doing?
That was a big step.
Yeah, I mean, it was like $100 back then. Yeah. Like so I get the flight and he's like, yeah, you could stay with me. I'll drive you to the interview. I'm like, awesome. So I'm pumped. I read the whole 300-page document.
You read all 300?
The whole thing. I show up and it's a group interview. And I have, again...
You're not expecting that.
I'm not expecting that. I don't know much about franchising, right? Like we didn't have any franchises in my town. I didn't really like leave campus that much. So I like really didn't understand that much about franchising. So I show up and I'm like, oh my God. It's me against all these people. Everyone had a man in a suit or a dad or someone with them. And it was just me.
Just this young girl.
In my leggings and my sparkly headband. I'm at the table. People are asking all these questions. I have no idea. Like, it didn't even click to me that, like, they're in different parts of the country. And
Right,
we're all going to get one as long as we're qualified, right? Like I had no idea.
That's right.
So they're asking people questions. But I also remember I was not qualified. I had no assets. I had no money. Like I was just like, I'm going to do this, right? So I show up and they're going around the table. They're asking people questions. And I remember one of the questions was, what would you do if you couldn't get any leads into your studio to sell memberships to? And I was like, I would walk around the street and start talking to people until they came in. Like I was like, and it was like a no-brainer. Like I would find them to get them to come in. Like, what do you mean? How would I, get people to come in?
That got somebody's attention.
And so
the
then, well, definitely, because other people were like, buy Google Ads. And I was like, no, like we'll walk up and down the street and get people to come try. So I did that. And then like they were asking other questions, and all the questions that they were asking, I could tell like nobody read the document, right? Like, so every time they were asking a question, I was like, I have to answer the question better than the person after me because only one of us is leaving with a franchise, and I didn't just charge that flight to my credit card to not get this, right? So I hadn't even gotten home, like back to the airport, and they had already offered me the franchise and like said that I could open it. And I was very open to moving because of the situation that I was in. I was young. I wasn't tied down. I was like, I'll go anywhere. I was like, what about like outside New York City? Because I was smart enough to realize at the time I couldn't afford as a young single person to live in New York City and build a business there. But I was like, there must be like a really nice suburb I can go to. And I had a lot of sorority sisters.
That's right. You're in Rhode Island, so you didn't know anything about this.
Yeah. And so I had a lot of sorority sisters from kind of the New York metro market. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I know someone from Greenwich. Like maybe that would be a good market. So I said to them, like, how about Greenwich? And they were like, well, someone already owns that one, but how about Westport? And I was like, done. Like, I didn't even know what Westport was. I was just like, I'll take it. And they were like, okay. And so then I called my friend from Greenwich and I said, Sabrina, where's Westport? You think I'll like it there? And she was like, you'll love it. And I was like, okay, I'm moving. And so I put everything in my car.
You've not been here to Westport yet?
Never been. I was like, I'm just going to put it all in my car. And we're going to get on the auto train and we're going to go. I found an apartment on Craigslist, someone's in-law suite, which thank God looking back, it's a nice area and I got a little lucky. Yeah. So that's, that could have been sketchy. Yeah, but I literally, then I remember the couple was like, so do you have like furniture? And I was like, no. I was like, I'll figure that out. They're like, we can give you a mattress. I was like, okay, that's all I need. I don't really need anything else. On the ground. Mattress on the ground. Yep, that's exactly what I had. And they like left their couch in there and I had like one pot, like it was, so I did that for a couple of years when we were starting up. I lived in that.
So how did you get the franchise? I mean, you have to have money. I mean, how do you get a franchise? Because all the ones I look at and stuff like that, I mean, you got to have lots of assets and stuff like that. I mean, how did that work for you?
So it was a very young franchise at the time. So like the asset wasn't.
There weren't a lot of people knocking down the door.
Yeah, I think that was part of it too. Like they weren't really that strict about it at the time. Like now, like forget it. You'd have to show your net worth and have all these things. And my mom did sign the like guarantee paperwork that I would do. And that was like it wasn't a personal guarantee, but it was like she had assets. So basically she could have taken it if I failed kind of thing, but that didn't happen. Parents. I do. I have very great parents. But I think they also know I'm like, I don't give up. Like I was very motivated and like they kept saying no to me. And I was like, well, no, I'm going to do it. So either like you're going to help me with it or I'm going to find somebody else to help me with it. So my mom gave me the franchise fee, but that was it. The rest of it was on me to figure out. So I did walk into a bunch of banks and kept getting turned away. And because they kept telling me, they were like, you don't have assets. Like they were like, you're 24 with student loans. Like you're not our ideal candidate.
Oh, and you have student loans, so you have negative assets.
So yeah, they were like, you're not our ideal candidate. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, how do I get this money? Like, how do I, like, I knew how much I needed. I was like, how do I get that? And one lady was like, I really can tell you're passionate about this and like, you're gonna keep trying. So I'm gonna give you a credit card with a very high limit that you can use for your business, and we'll set you up a business checking account, and like I'll waive all the fees. And I was like, wow, thank you. And so I
tell
thought
me
this
more about
was
this
great.
credit card. So they just gave you a credit card, but I mean, obviously you had to pay the debt,
credit, right? Like I had.
Did you have to pay the debt? I mean, okay.
Well, I deferred my student loans at that time because I was focused on starting my business, which.
But I meant the credit card. So they basically gave you a line of credit.
Pretty much, yeah. And then I did have a couple people who I like borrowed money with very high interest return rates with. That I had a couple people that I was like, I knew they had money, and I was like, what would it take for me to get $50,000 from you? And I actually had practice for my old job raising money when he bought that company out of bankruptcy. So I had like the paperwork, and I like knew what to say, and like I wasn't like selling them. It was just like, here's the contract, here's the percentage back I will give you on a monthly basis until it's paid off. I had written language in there that said if at any time I could pay the balance in full, it was void. So I like did kind of have some good learnings from those things where I had good contracts, because once I did get the business to a stable place, I actually went back to the bank and said, okay, here's my member list, here's my lease, here's my business, here's the debt that I'm paying that's eating all my profit. I want to pay this off, and then I'll have a bank loan. So I ended up paying off. So I ended up doing that and paying off all the people that I borrowed from in full with interest. So no one was that mad about it.
So you were a great investment.
Yeah. I mean, I think they wanted it more long term, but they got their money and interest. So definitely it was worth it for them.
So you had no early payoff penalties?
No early payoff penalties. Yeah, it was there was a contingency in there. So
did you ever get the one in Greenwich? Someone else
had it, yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone has it.
So now you have 3.
Yes. So I have Westport, Connecticut, Fairfield, Connecticut, and Darien, Connecticut.
So, I'm pretty new to this area, so I'm still trying to learn. So how close are those to around here, right here where I'm at right now?
Darien's like 10 minutes from us. And then Westport would be like another 15 minutes, and then Fairfield would be like another 15.
Okay, so they're all
depending on the time of day and the traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, it could take an hour to get to Fairfield at the wrong time, but.
So how long was it before you got your second one?
So I was their fastest growing franchisee.
Shocking.
I opened the first 3 within like 16 months of each other. I basically reinvested everything back into opening them, because from what I was observing and learning, and just from my, my friend that had the one in Florida, because she had a couple of them at that point too. She was also scaling them. If I wasn't going to open them, somebody else was going to. So it's like I might as well cannibalize myself and own the market. And so that was where I went with it.
And so do you have enough now where you're pretty protected from someone else coming anywhere close?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I actually still have, another territory that I purchased in COVID, but have not opened yet.
Do you think you'll continue to press that and expand more? Or do you think you're kind of good now?
No, I'm kind of like tapped out of the brick and mortar business model right now. I love the studios, but COVID was definitely a huge hit, a lot of stress, just really people changed, routines changed. The business as a whole is not the same as it was pre-pandemic. So I'm definitely focused on other opportunities from a growth standpoint. But I love the studios. So like I will keep them and run them and grow them, but I'm not going to keep doing more of them, because when you think about the value of $1 and time and what your customer value is versus other business opportunities that are out there, juice has to be worth the squeeze.
You have to constantly grow that business because of attrition?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I could see that as a guy that's I haven't been in a gym for I have my own, but I can see that because it's always like, right, January is your big run. By the end of February, everybody's gone.
So we're a little bit more niche of a business model where we don't really get that. We've never really gotten the January rush, because we're more of like a toning, kind of strengthening, conditioning type of workout.
You do more functional type stuff? Because that's what I'm big into, is just functional movement type stuff.
It's called isometric movement. So it's kind of based on like a Pilates mat class, utilizing a ballet bar for resistance and support. So it's like small isometric movements.
Hence why I saw a ballet bar in my hotel gym this morning.
Yeah, they're very popular now. So it's very, very trending workout.
So I should put one in my gym?
Yeah, if you want to try it. You can come take a class and see if you like it.
Do guys take these classes?
Very few, but we have a
couple. Do I
have
to wear leggings?
Yeah, you have to wear leggings. Or shorts like below the knee. No shorty shorts.
So guys do too, seriously?
Yeah, they'll wear like joggers, yeah. We'll take class and wear
Oh
like
my
jogging
gosh.
pants.
All right, when I come back, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do. I'm serious. I'm gonna do
You're
that
always
with you.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
I'd try it
definitely
for
welcome.
sure. I mean,
But-
those things are hard. I do.
Yeah, it's a hard workout, but it's
Yeah.
not something that you're just going to do in January because we're not weight loss, right? So I think like that January rush doesn't happen as much.
Yeah, all I'm doing, like I said, is I'm functional movement. So I'm trying to, I want to be, I live on a farm. So, I'm grabbing 50-pound bags of feed and stuff like that. But everything I'm doing is all functional. I'm really big into that kind of stuff. I don't even have a single plate in my entire gym. I've got dip bars, pull-ups. I got punching bags, rower, assault bikes. You ever do assault bikes? The ones that
I haven't done that.
you need to get you one of those. I'm telling you what, that is one of the hardest workouts. It'll get your heart rate jacked up so high, so fast, because I'm really trying to work on that now.
I've seen those, yeah, but I've never.
You get them from Rogue Fitness.
Okay.
And I bought one. I've done them before because I used to do a lot of CrossFit. And I'm telling you what, it is an incredible. You can spend 30 minutes on that thing, and you've got a workout.
Okay, that's great to know.
Yeah, I do that with Tabatas. You ever heard of a Tabata?
Yep.
Yeah, you do 20 on, 10 off.
Yep.
So I'm doing that this morning in the thing in there, and I got my earphones in and stuff. And I like doing that because it does spike your heart rate up and down.
And that's, you need that.
Yeah.
I just got a weighted vest because that's trending right now.
I'm 20-pounder. I walk in one every day, and then I do squats.
Surprised. I was like, wow, this is heavy.
So where did you get yours at? The guys and I were just talking a minute ago. I got mine. I'm big on Rogue stuff because their quality and material is so good.
I got it on Amazon.
So did you get the one that's like 6 pounds?
It's 12.
So I've got a 20.
Okay.
But it's metal plates. Basically, it's a freaking bulletproof vest. It's got the steel plates in it, but it's got 20 pounds in it. And I was looking at it now because I kind of want to go to 40.
Okay.
Just to get the extra.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of extra weight. Because I never leave my farm, so I just walk. I can walk
up and down.
I can walk 1.8 miles from my house to my daughter's house and back.
Okay.
Because it zigzags through the woods. It's not that far, but it zigzags. It makes a big difference. And then even when you get on the bike, if you do that, I don't do pull-ups with it and stuff like that. That's a little too much extra weight for me.
Yeah, no, that would be because it'd be weighing you down. I was honestly surprised when I put it on. I was like, wow, this is heavy.
Yeah, and especially if you start doing, like, do y'all do lunges or anything like that where you really...
I haven't done much with it yet. I just got it this week. So it was like a put it on and test it out kind of thing.
I've been using one now for probably... maybe 4 months.
Okay.
And then I went from 10 pounds and then I just jumped up to 20 within the last probably month.
And what results are you seeing with it? Are you feeling like your stamina and your strength is increasing? Is it like...
I can feel the tone of my body because not to get into my stuff. So I'm trying to get down to 10% body fat.
Okay.
And I'm at 15.6 as of 2 days ago. And so I'm just trying to figure out different ways to burn fat and build muscle.
Okay.
Because everything I read now is muscle strength and sleep and flexibility are the 3 major things that you can maintain when you get to be my age.
Okay.
And so I have no flexibility. Okay. So now I'm trying to stretch for 5 minutes every day.
So bar will help with flexibility.
Yes. Because I saw the guy and he literally was doing these moves and I was kind of like, look at that old man. Same age as me, right?
So we basically work the muscle to its fatiguing point and then stretch it out. And then that creates that like long, like muscle kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
So what else are you working on now? So aren't you doing some stuff in advertising magazines?
So I own 3 magazines as well.
Okay, so tell me about those. That's kind of interesting. I know nothing about your other business other than I participated in them. This one I know nothing about. Okay. So tell me about this one.
So this is kind of a funny story. I actually think I shared this on the last podcast I was on too, and then someone was like, wow. So I had another business venture out between the magazines and Pure Barre with a former partner that just did not work out. And when we were going through the separation, so it was another fitness concept that we came up with together. We opened 2 locations. We learned, you learn very quickly. You're like, this, we don't have the same work ethic. Like, this isn't going to work out. Like, I gotta
don't you
exit.
See that before?
Because I think people, and I do now looking back, I'm like, oh, you sold me on you, and like that you believed in my vision, but I was selling you my vision. Like you think about it, and you're like, we both made mistakes. Like, but I gotta exit. I gotta get out of this as quickly as possible because it's not going to end well. So I was like, all right. So I get out of the partnership. But it was a long, drawn-out process, right? Because she didn't want to be out of the partnership, and I did. So that was a whole thing. But so we had 2 locations, and we were each operating them independently until we could finalize the separation. Her location was in a busy plaza next to a kids' gymnastics studio, free flow of traffic and leads. mine's my Greenwich studio that I'm pumped that I finally have a place in Greenwich, second floor of a back of a building, because Greenwich real estate is way more expensive than Fairfield real estate. So I don't have any leads in. We have a temporary settlement where we can only spend on necessary business expenses. So I can only spend money on rent, payroll, insurance, like the core, like electricity, like could not spend money on marketing, could not spend money on, retail, like anything that was not deemed non-essential was not approved by the judge. So I was like, well, how am I going to get people in here if I can't do any marketing? And I can't just like go set up tables. Like I still have to run the business, and then I still had my other studios. Like I still had stuff to do. So I was like, well, if I own a magazine and start my own thing as a marketing vehicle, I can just advertise in it, and then people will come in. Literally, I was like, they'll just come in because I'm going to send them a postcard kind of thing, right? But I was like, but that's expensive. So part of me was like, well, I could just like invest a little money, but then I was like, no, I'm just going to start my own company that's going to like pay for the marketing. Mm-hmm. And so I started the magazine to advertise this business, which I closed during COVID because it just was not worth continuing. And the magazine came from that. So it was, so it's funny because it's like kind of that like blessing and a curse kind of thing. Like I would never have done the magazine had I not been in that position, but I was pretty much like, okay, you're putting me in a corner. I got to come up with a solution. I came home one day and said to my husband, I think I'm going to start a magazine in town. And he was like, I love that. And I was like, really? Because he was like, well, yeah, usually you come home and tell me you signed a brick and mortar lease, and I don't love that. So he was like, this sounds like low lift for me. Like he was like, my risk here is low. Yeah, and I was like, okay. And so he was into it. And so back to walking up and down the street I went to find my advertisers, because I was like, I'm just going to, find people who are willing to work with me. And I literally walked up and down the street and would walk into businesses and ask if the owner was there and if they would give me 5 minutes of their time. And I would say like, this is my idea. This is what I'm going to do. And a lot of those advertisers that started with me 6 years ago are still advertising.
So you've been doing it for 6 years?
Yeah. So now I have 3.
And you do them.
So I have Greenwich.
Township. Is that they call them townships here? Or
they're towns. Yeah.
Towns,
so
okay.
I have Greenwich, and then Darien and New Canaan is combined into one magazine, and then Upper Westchester, which is a bunch of hamlets, they call them in New York.
Hamlets, okay.
So, yeah.
So what is your magazine? What is it? Tell me about it.
So they're lifestyle publications.
Okay.
So it's like what's going on in the community. We really focus on the spotlighting the small business owners and really connecting the business community to the residents, because the residents want to know who owns these businesses, and I want to hear their stories and how did they start. And so we're really telling the stories of the business owners and really focused on small business growth in our community, which people love. And then every month follows a different theme. So like we're working on the style issue now. We have a foodie issue, holiday. So we really follow the seasons. We come out every single month. We're online.
And you're doing print? Or,
yep.
And
so
online.
It's print.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I still love print.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does. You love to touch something.
I know, but it's so hard. Like, I love the newspaper, but I lived somewhat in town before.
Yeah.
Within the last 5 years of living there, I mean, the guy wouldn't show up till 7 o'clock, or he wouldn't get it till later in the afternoon. And I mean, I'm a 5 o'clock guy. I get, that was part of my day. I go out and get the newspaper, and as the mornings get brighter, I'm already starting to kind of look at it as I'm walking into the house.
Well, now kids don't want those jobs, so that makes it even harder.
I get it, because you have to be up at 3:30 in the morning.
My husband did that, actually. That was one of his first jobs.
That's hard.
Papers.
That's a hard job.
Yeah.
I mean, like. Yeah, we had a lady in our little hometown growing up in South Texas, and that was her job her entire life.
Wow.
And she
if you get a good mail route, right? Then
she was 2,000 people, so you figure probably she was delivering 300 or 400 papers, and she did the whole town.
Wow.
Like she knew everybody.
Yeah.
And that was her job.
That's one of the best parts about the magazine is the people that I meet and just being really connected to the community, knowing everything that's going on. So my husband actually grew up in Greenwich. And so when we first started dating, it was like everybody, like, which Sabia are you? Like, which one? Because there's so many of them. Now it's like kind of turned where everyone's like, oh, Frank, your wife's magazine. It's like really amazing. And it's like, so it's funny like seeing kind of the changeover.
So you're Laura's husband?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, that we call him Mr. Greenwich Lifestyle because he loves the magazine. But from the minute I said I wanted to do it, which with my advertising and PR background, he was like, yeah. Like it was not even a question in his mind that I could do it. Like he is always been very supportive, but I think with that specifically, like because Greenwich was a non-negotiable for him, and he, we tried to do the studio thing in Greenwich. Clearly, that wasn't working out, and like someone else had the territory, so it was like, what else? And so it was just the best. It was a great option and a great opportunity.
No kidding, and it fits perfect in this area. I mean,
it's amazing. Yeah, people love it. Totally. It really is.
And do you print it here local?
No, we don't. I have a like a license company that I go through, and they print and do
and
the
then
distribution.
Ship it to you. Oh, so
ship it right to them.
Actually
they do all the distribution. Yeah, which is fantastic because that's that takes me away from.
That would be huge.
Yeah, that takes you out of doing the parts of the business that you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So like meeting with people, local stories, things like that.
So you think you're done for a little bit on your entrepreneurial expansion, or you think you got some other stuff coming?
Well, so I also have a book.
So tell me, you brought that up earlier. So tell me about that.
So I have a book that came out last year during COVID. A publishing company had reached out to me asking, like, we're really looking for stories on people who've gotten through the gym hurdle in COVID, and like we'd really like to like talk to you because you have like multiple locations. We see you close some. Like we're wondering, like, why did this stick?
Want to know your story.
And I'd always wanted to write a book, and so I remember I came home and I told my husband, I was like, this company reached out to me and like this is what they said. Like, what should I do with that? Like, I was like how do you respond? Because it's like that's not my only business, but I feel like you don't ever want to say no to an opportunity, right? So I was like, if this is my opportunity to get my foot in the door to maybe have a book, like that would be worth it. So I replied to them. We get on the phone. I'm having some like preliminary conversations, and they were like, okay, like this is how it works, and they kept asking me questions about like 2020. And I was like, I've been in business since 2013. I was like, let me outline the timeline for you of my entrepreneurial journey. And then because they kept saying like COVID was this whole thing, and it were like, wow, how impressive that you were able to overcome that. And I was like, no, how impressive that I walked up and down the street till someone gave me a credit card with a high balance limit.
Which is
that
crazy.
You know what I mean? Like that was like, so it's like funny because like they, people can see one thing and they're like, oh, that's so impressive. And you're like, that is such a small piece of the pie. Like that has,
that's what most people don't, they don't
know
understand
the bigger picture. And so I explained to them, like, here's my timeline of what this looks like. And they were like, oh, we're going to move you to this department because we think that actually this would be a really great female entrepreneur story, like, the whole thing. And then I was like, cool, but like, I don't really need you. Like, I can do this myself. Like, what value do you bring? Like, I'm not going to pay you a royalty on my story.
Yeah.
And so then, we got into negotiations and all that stuff. And then, so my book came out last year.
What's it called?
It's called You Can Thank Me Later.
You Can Thank Me Later.
Yeah, I really wanted it to be Shit I Wish I Knew as the subtitle, but they said that it would get bad placement in bookstores, so I had to do Startup Secrets I Wish I Knew. So that's...
Isn't that funny? Yeah. When I wrote my first book, I had this incredible title, and it's nothing close to that. It was the dumbest... my title was dumb.
What was your title?
It was called You Don't Know What It's Like to Be a Lion Unless You're a Lion.
Well, that's a really long title.
Well,
like word
but
count.
It sounded so cool to me. And then I go to these people, they're like,
no.
Yeah, no, that's a little long. I'm like, really? And when you write it down and you try to put it on a cover.
Yeah, when you try and put it on a cover.
But I was just in my mind, I was trying to you don't know what it's like to be an entrepreneur unless you've been an entrepreneur.
Exactly,
People think this thing is, that's the whole purpose of the Born or Made podcast.
Yeah.
Everything I'm doing in my speech writing is just like, everybody makes this out to be so sexy.
Yeah.
Like, you're the first one I've heard who got credit card debt before they started. Most of us go into credit card debt after we start.
Yeah.
Because shit, I can't make payroll.
Yeah.
Hey, we got this $26,000 credit card. We can do that. They had 25%, interest. You did it from the beginning. So you did it. Yeah. You ate the shit sandwich early. We just start later.
Yeah. It definitely, that's really funny. But But what you don't know. But I feel like everyone has their assumptions and kind of like what, like you said, Instagram, people think entrepreneurship is sexy. And then anytime you work with content creators, they're like, oh, let's do a day in the life, but do this. I'm like, but that's not what the day in the life looks like. You know what I mean? We were joking earlier. I didn't have time to wash my hair. It was you got to pick and choose the priorities. And that's the way it goes.
One of the things I talk about in some of my speeches is 99.9% of us will never end up in the Forbes magazine. Mm-hmm. But 80% of American population works for people like you and me.
Yeah.
We're really what makes it happen.
Yep.
Most people don't work for Elon Musk or Warren Buffett.
Totally.
They work for Laura and Larry.
Yep.
Small town. Sometimes we don't know if we're going to make payroll.
Yep.
Sometimes we forget to make our insurance payment, and they get the mail and they say, hey, we're going to cut your insurance off if you don't pay us because you just screw up. I spent 2 years from the 08 to 12. There was a period of about somewhere between late 9 to almost 2011, that every month the electric company would be at my door, at my company. I own a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
And they're like, Larry. They would be literally, Maria still works for me today. She's like, Larry, the electric company's here. I'm like, all right, put them on the phone. Hey, Larry, how you doing? Good. Bob, how are you? Great. We're going to cut your electricity off if you don't pay us. I'm like, I'll have a check there tomorrow. They're like, thanks, Larry. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Well, nobody hears about that.
No, they don't. They don't hear about it. They don't see it. They don't know the struggle. And they can't imagine the stress that it causes, I think
and you go into like your business and you're like, everything's great.
Oh yeah.
Ha 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 rah. And then you leave and you're like, oh my God.
So during COVID, during the pandemic, gyms were closed. So I had, multiple brick and mortars closed, owed rent on commercial spaces.
The rent guy
like
didn't mind
getting, very, very stressful. But I had to still hype everybody up because the leader's not allowed to be scared, right? So we would have our team meeting and I'd be
not at least externally,
right?
Publicly.
I mean, internally, sure, I can cry to my husband and be like, oh, I'm just so nervous. Kind of wasn't, but it's just, I think it's a personality thing. But I remember trying to hype the team up, we're gonna get through this. Let me know who needs what. Here's how it's gonna go. And I literally had an employee say to me, "You're not a real person. Can you just be upset with the rest of us?" And I was like, leaders don't get to be upset. That's not how it works. I don't have the privilege of being scared and passing that stress down to everybody else. So no matter how bad of a mood I'm in or how annoyed I am, I have to be positive, Polly.
How much I don't like you right now.
Exactly. Yeah. She no longer works for me. She didn't very quickly after that. She couldn't handle the fact that I was always positive and motivated, but that's the job of the entrepreneur, right?
Job.
You have to be excited.
Even when you're not.
Yeah. I didn't want to be excited, but I still had to be, because we still had bills to pay. We still had solutions that we had to figure out. Great that you work for, a Forbes company or an Inc. 500 company or whatever, and they're still paying you and you're not doing anything or you're working remotely full time. Awesome. There's people on this team that have food that they need to put in their children's mouths. So how are we going to figure that out and how are we going to prioritize it? Might be a part-time job for you, but there is people on this team that it's a full-time job for.
Yeah, people don't realize the gravity of the pressure that you hold of your success or failure. Mm-hmm. A lot of people depend on that.
Totally.
Not just you and your family, but
other people that work for you.
Their families.
Yep. They have to put food on the table
That's
too.
Right.
And that comes from the entrepreneur.
That's right.
Giving them the opportunity to do that.
And when you're thinking about that stuff, you think about those people and their family. That's what motivated me through my process. A lot of it was just the fact I didn't want to fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a struggle. Well, we've blown through an hour.
Oh, wow.
So 57 minutes, that's pretty quick, huh? Yeah, that was great.
Quick, yeah.
Well, so you start off as this little girl in Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. Now you own 3 magazines and 3 fitness gyms. I like to call them gyms because I'm old school.
Gyms are fine.
And here you are today. And we always like to ask the final question is, do you think you were born or made at this time? Because you're so young.
So when we started the podcast, I think I was going to say made. But now that we've been talking, I think I want to say born. Because I don't think it is something that you can, it's innate, it's kind of in you. So
you had it from a very young age. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
Even listen to the things that you would overcome and do. Yeah, you definitely have born with the right attitude because you definitely got something in you that says, oh, okay, yeah, you think it's not right. Let me show you how it's right. And you go figure out how to get around it. Like I said, there's a wall. You figure out you're going to go through it, under it, around it, or over it, but you're going to get through it.
Well, and I've always been one of those people, you know how sometimes people will say, what do they say? There's this saying that people say, and it drives me nuts. Whatever will be, or everything happens for a reason. And I'm like, no, everything doesn't happen for a reason. Everything happens because of the choices that we make that make it happen. And so
the results are going to be different based on the decisions you make after that.
Exactly. And so that's always a thing that I'm like, no, we choose our destiny and our outcome. So I do think that the decisions you make along the way play a huge part in that process.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much, Laura. Appreciate you being on the Born or Made podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet.